For more, let's bring back Walter Isaacson, Tulane professor, CNBC contributor. Barry Sternlicht continues here. So, I mean, so many China things swirling around after the NBA. Now Tim Cook's over there, did the, with the app situation. It's crazy. Walter, what do you make of it?
Right, and you really have to navigate China. Tim Cook is good, I think, or deft at navigating Trump and China. I thought Adam Silver had to handle it pretty well, which is we stick to our values, but we understand that we have to deal with people in other countries. When I was young and traveling in China, I remember going to Kashgar, and I was at a cafe, and the kids were on the internet, and I tried to type up Time Magazine, CNN, and it was blocked. And one of them elbows me aside, and boom, Time and CNN come up. I said, what'd you do? He said, well, we go through proxy servers in Hong Kong that the censors are clueless about. We thought then that the internet would spread this notion of free flow of information and would change the Chinese system. What's happening now is that the Chinese system is changing the nature of the internet, and I'm surprised at that.
Yeah, it's not the way it was supposed to work.
No, exactly.
We have to worry about what we wish for, though. Could a totally open China succeed immediately in the world?
No. I teach a class at Tulane called The Digital Revolution, and we were talking about this in class. Everybody was upset how China is using cameras to, track people going into mosques and reading their emails. And a Chinese student from China was in the class. He speaks up. He says, no, you be careful what you wish for, just what you said, Joe. We have to do that, and we have to make sure that the Uyghurs aren't, starting a revolution. And the class said, that's horrible. They're just using it to keep the Communist Party in power.
Right.
And the kid says, yeah, my parents are members of the Communist Party. Why do you think I got to go to Tulane?
Right.
You don't understand that our system can't be based on this open free flow. And then we look at what's happening with Facebook and all.
Right. They'll throw flowers at us when we liberate Iraq, Walter. It didn't quite happen,
but
did
the
it?
broad idea that engagement, which has been the strategy for all of this time, the idea that Tim Cook is over there in business, Steve Schwartzman's doing the equivalent of a Rhodes Scholarship. All of that is supposed to, bend the arc of history or bend the arc of Chinese history towards either a more open society. And the question is that a viable and working strategy, or is all of this a lesson that that's actually a failure?
All of this is a lesson that's, if not a total failure, is not destined for success. We really thought that engagement in business, engagement with the internet, that you could not have a thriving economy without the free flow of information, that the internet was going to open up new ideas, and it was going to bend the arc of history to what we would call sort of individual liberty.
We've done it again.
That is not going to happen.
It's not. It's not a foregone conclusion.
We're blacked out again.
Oh, what?
We're blacked out again.
We're blacked out in China.
We got blacked out earlier in China when we said
may get blacked out on this topic, too, because we want to pivot the conversation for a moment.
Maybe we'll come back on.
Explain that to me, that you can tell right away that China has shut you down.
Yes.
Immediately,
We can see when we're broadcasting in China right now.
No, we're not.
And we can, right this minute, we might not be. We can see when the blackout happens. This is a company that's very sensitive in China, and that is TikTok. I want to show you now what Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg had to say about that company. Yesterday, he was at Georgetown, and this is what he said.
While our services like WhatsApp are used by protesters and activists everywhere, due to strong encryption and privacy protections, on TikTok, the Chinese app growing quickly around the world, mentions of these same protests are censored, even here in the US. Is that the internet that we want? So this is one of the reasons why we don't operate Facebook, Instagram, or our other services in China.
I want to come back to a bigger issue, which is, I think, and it came up a couple weekends ago, Andrew and I were at the same conference. Are we really headed to deglobalization?
Yeah, I mean, that's a problem. We thought that the internet, the free flow of information would make things
that'll change the arc of growth in this country and across the...
The weird thing, though, is that it's hard to have a non-global internet, meaning you can put up walls and you can do different things. But it doesn't, the internet is almost one of those technologies that does bend the arc of history towards globalization. The interesting thing of Mark Zuckerberg saying that is, with TikTok and its sister in China, is that we're facing the other side of it here, where Facebook is saying, well, should we try to censor political ads of Elizabeth Warren or something that Donald Trump does? I don't think any system has got this right. It's a very...
Well, you know how hard this is going to be, right? They say that, I love this quote. Somebody said that if data is the new oil, then China is the new OPEC.
Well,
because they're going to collect so
data.
much information and health, but on their people, right? And so they will have leading companies in AI in the world because they'll have the most oil, they have the most data. And the U.S. will be somewhere second, and Europe will be forgotten about. It will be a museum again.
Right, but, Europe in particular is at the other extreme with its privacy, almost neuralgia, at which point they're not going to be able to have the data that people need.
Well, in areas like healthcare, you want that data because you shouldn't think that would be political you used, but in other areas it has tremendous impact. I just think I look at our companies. We talk about this naive idea that the world should decouple. 60% of the S&P's earnings are offshore, international. You're going to change PE multiples in the United States equity markets because of this populist move to bring things back and not allow the free flow of capital across borders. I'm on the board of a company where the biggest market in the world for American companies is the middle-class Chinese consumer.
But you know, that's true of the NBA. And
the NBA's, that's why Adam Silver's doing what he's doing.
Well, what is he doing? I actually think he's navigating it pretty well.
I agree with that, but I mean the fact that they want to stay close to China because it's a huge growth market.
But he's also saying we're not going to totally back down for our values. We're not going to fire, the general manager.
See how well that works.
You give him. That would have been. If he fired a guy for that, just not firing that guy.
Giving him his right. But I'm just saying a lot of people were kowtowing. The word kowtowing is great because it comes from the Imperial China Empire. And there are many grades of kowtowing, including how far you're going to prostrate yourself
down. So that comes from China. You know what the word WD-40 is? No, go ahead.
Yeah, it's water diffusion. That was the first try.
The question is how much we should be self-censoring ourselves so that we err in China, for example. You see LeBron James self-censoring. I mean, you call it kowtowing, or Steve Kerr, or whomever it is. And the question is that...
Kowtowing is never really that attractive of a state to be in when you're kneeling and your nose is pressed to the ground. And I think in the end, history's going to judge the people who don't kowtow a lot better. And you watch Google pull. I mean, this happened. This is not new. Google pulled out, I think, around 2009 into 2016. They moved out because they were censoring every result on Google search.
And do you think they regret that?
Yes. And so that's why it's a complicated
That's the interesting
situation.
part. And if you're going to take this position on China, how do you feel about doing business in Russia? How do you feel about doing business in Saudi Arabia? I mean, you can go down the line.
Yeah, I mean, you're going, Barry, to Saudi Arabia now, right?
Yep.
Yep. I think kowtowing to the Saudis at the moment is not the best thing to be doing either. How do you, balance that?
Because I think Iran is the real issue, frankly. And it's a really bad issue, Iran. So I'm all with Trump on Iran. 100%. I don't think
I'm just saying that the Saudis have different, and even the Germans. I mean, and I don't mean there's, but they don't allow you to talk Holocaust denial or certain things. So each, certainly the
This is going to get
European
worse. You know how bad this is going to be because about the quality of video streaming and fake video and fake, and perfect photographs, and they're going to. I don't know how it's going to work. I mean, they're going to be. People are going to say things about companies with videos about people dying using their product. It'll be fake, and they'll be front-running the trade.
I'm actually very interested in what Facebook is doing right now. Noah Feldman, who's a law professor, has put together with Zuckerberg this idea of almost a Supreme Court, a slightly independent body that's supposed to say, look, don't just look after your business interests and the engagement. Figure out what are you going to do with a deep fake. Figure out what you're going to do with an Elizabeth Warren ad that's not true or a Donald Trump ad. Because we're entering a new age where there
are bad actors, right, all over the world. So I don't know how when they have access to fake video, it's going to be fascinating for the world.
Walter, thank you.
Let's be happy, though.
You put it on the outside of the glass.
Yeah.
That way the glass holds.
A lot of different uses. I never.
Fishing lures. If you fly fish or redfish, spray it with WD-40. The lure.
Supposedly you can put it on your joints, but it's not recommended. But that is something people do, and I don't. Anyway.